My gosh, more big things have been announced today than any Tuesday that I've seen in months. Maybe since like Trump was elected, when there's a lot of news happening then. We have two countries now accepting crypto. Like one as legal tender, one for government services, and one is a very important country. We also have news that just about everyone with an investment account will now have exposure to Bitcoin, whether they like it or not. They are forced buying it every single week. Now, honestly, some of the biggest pieces of news are towards the end of this video, so do not click off. Maybe put it at 1.25x speed. You can hit that little gear button, but do not click off this video because there's so much important stuff that you should know. We have Bitcoin rebounding as well. Yesterday, we made a video saying, hey, this seems weird, right? It might seem a little bit scary because the NASDAQ was up 4% and Bitcoin fell from 106 down to 101. But I said, don't be worried. There are just liquidations happening. I think this could actually be really bullish because if we flip this prior resistance of 100,000 into support, that could be very technically bullish for Bitcoin, right? We needed a little cool off to get out the 50, 100x, 500x longs because inevitably they always get shaken out at some point. If we take a little bounce off 100,000, that's going to be extremely bullish. And what do you know? I said too that it probably wouldn't be the worst time to do it, and we're up 3%, which might not seem like a lot, but we're right back within spitting distance of where we were yesterday. And all this bullish stuff is happening at the same time that the NASDAQ is up 1.3% again today. We're almost at 19,000. This is after a 4% move yesterday. Everything is looking very good. So much good news coming out. Let's get into it. If you don't mind, hit subscribe so you can see future videos just like this. If you want to trade crypto, there are links underneath the video. Check out the link to WEEX. You can get a bonus of 100 USDT for the first 100 users. So I still think there are some open spots left and you can start trading with leverage in just a few minutes. You don't need a KYC. You don't need a VPN. You can get started today. Now, we have Bitcoin jumping up. Like I said yesterday, I was not scared when we saw this drop, even though the NASDAQ was up so much. Bitcoin was open during the weekend and it kept on moving up. And usually we do see some liquidations, which we have not seen in a little while, right? We moved from 93 to 106. We barely saw any drop. So a 4 or 5% drop was not concerning to me. And what do you know? We're back up to 103. We have so much big news happening again today. So again, yesterday we were just flushing out the weekend longs and the weekend gains. But now we're looking good. Last night, Coin, it was announced that they were going to be joining the S&P 500. So Coin is in while Discover Financial Services is out. This is actually pretty interesting, pretty big news because this means that Coin will be added to 90% of individuals' portfolios. Like there are maybe 100 million people that own stocks in the US and almost all of them have exposure to the S&P 500. You know, there are some individual stock pickers, but they also usually have some retirement accounts that have S&P 500 exposure. Or if you have NASDAQ exposure, you're also exposed to MSTR. So now there are a lot of people that will be buying Coin on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. They'll be buying Coin stock. Keep in mind, Coin's done extremely well since the bull market. And they just added more Bitcoin exposure. In their last earnings, it came out that they bought about 2,400 more Bitcoin. So they have about 10,000 Bitcoin right now. They are up about 624% since the beginning of 2023. So yeah, they are joining the S&P 500 and millions, hundreds of millions of people will be buying Coin stock from now on. Keep in mind, as I said, they do take some of their profits and put it into Bitcoin and crypto. And just the fact that a lot of people have exposure to Coin, I think is really beneficial for crypto and for the stock market in general. Brian Armstrong says Coinbase will become the first and only crypto company to join the S&P 500. The milestone represents what the true believers, from retail investors to institutional investors to our employees and partners, knew all along. Crypto is here to stay. Exactly. Crypto is not going anywhere. Maybe in 2022, 2023, it seemed like there's still a chance that it could blow up, right, in a bad way, that some of these companies would go bankrupt. But now, with every single country seeming to turn bullish on crypto, it's not going anywhere. IBIT continues to stack $70 million. Just yesterday, we had a net outflow from the ETFs, but this marks the 19th or 20th consecutive day of buying from IBIT. Moving on to today's news, which is even bigger than yesterday's, even bigger than hundreds of millions of people buying coin and buying Bitcoin, getting exposure. CPI came out today. The expectation was 2.4%. And what did we get? 2.3% year over year. The estimate was 2.4. The core came in at expectations of 2.8. This is the smallest year over year increase since February of 2021. We're back at 4-year lows since way back here. Like that's crazy. And you can see the lowest that we had gotten at the end of last year was in October at 2.4%. And if you're watching this video instead of just listening to it, you can see like a massive spike back in 2022 and then fell straight off a cliff until midpoint of 2023. And then, what do you know? We had lower highs and lower lows for the last couple of years. So the Fed's really worried about tariffs. I think this kind of gives them fuel, especially if PPI comes in okay and PCE. This gives them fuel to say, hey, it seems like tariffs aren't really causing inflation like we expected them to. We're going to cut by a quarter basis point just to make sure that we keep the economy and jobs and inflation in line. I think that gives them enough wiggle room to be able to say that, which is what the market's expecting. And they've been really cautious to say that so far, but they want 2% inflation, and we're in the lower twos, right? We have more companies buying Bitcoin as well. Like yesterday, we announced, 2 new companies? It seems like every week we get 5 new companies that are buying Bitcoin. And some of them, multi-billion-dollar companies, like yesterday, the conglomerate run by David Bailey. They're going to be buying Bitcoin and converting companies to like treasury companies. But now public AI company Next Technology reveals it already bought 5,000 Bitcoin for $180 million this March. So they bought at 90,000 per coin. Now they're worth $500 million today. So that's pretty awesome. And there are more companies now announcing that they're going to be buying Bitcoin. NASDAQ listed GD Culture Group. It's going to buy up to $300 million in Bitcoin funded by new share issuance. Now, I think you have to be careful. You have to look at these companies after you see this announced. Like I've been saying, don't just go blindly buy companies that are buying Bitcoin. You can see this company is only worth about $38 million. So yes, they'll buy up to $300 million, basically, if it allows them to, if the market allows them to. But they would have to 10x their shares. And like this company has been pretty rough since 2024. It's down 68%, 69% from the peak. And if you go back to 2021, when like all the penny stocks were going insane, this thing was a $235 stock. Now it's down 99%. So don't just blindly believe everything that's said by these companies. Make sure you actually look into them a little bit. I think there are some companies that are just announcing this to hopefully get like a little bit of a pump. Then there are some companies like David Bailey's company and who is the other person? Vivek, that actually like are setting up new companies to go out and buy Bitcoin, and those are getting a lot of attention. While sometimes these are just kind of a Hail Mary. The U.S. Treasury plans to meet Bitcoin and crypto key players for a closed-door roundtable meeting this week. And if you're about to tune out, don't, because actually like the 2 biggest pieces of news are coming out here in a second. But the U.S. Treasury planning to meet Bitcoin and crypto companies. Obviously, whenever the government is meeting with these companies now and these individuals, I think it's positive. I think they're trying to better understand crypto, figure out what we need to do going forward to be one of the key leaders in crypto. Baton, this is super interesting. This is the CEO of Binance talking about Baton. Let me play this for you.
I mean, this initiative represents another key milestone in terms of crypto adoption and deployment globally. What it does is, travelers and tourists going forward can make use of a very seamless, very cost-efficient way of paying locally, everything from things like flights, accommodations, meals, even your local tour guides, and when you're buying from local merchants in Bhutan, right? So it's another big initiative by Kingdom of Bhutan. It's powered by Binance Pay, and we work locally with the DK Bank.
Okay, so Binance is going to be working with Bhutan to allow crypto and Bitcoin payments for tourism. So basically legal tender. That's awesome. Bhutan is one of the leaders right now in the crypto world. They have around $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. They're mining Bitcoin at a high level, and yeah, now they're accepting payments for tourism. And it's not just Bhutan that's making waves today. Dubai is going to accept crypto payments through Crypto.com partnership. So this is a memorandum of understanding between Dubai government officials and the president of Crypto.com. It was signed yesterday, and this is going to allow individuals, business customers of government entities also, they'll be able to pay service fees through digital wallets on Crypto.com. So what does this look like exactly? Well, it could be utilities or parking, and you can pay with large cap crypto assets. So you could pay for your electricity bill with Solana, for example, right? Like you could stake Solana, and you could take those staking rewards and perpetually pay for parking and for your water, whatever it is. That is pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And I think more and more countries will do this. I mean, imagine this happens in the US. What more of a stamp of approval do you need? And I do think that this is one way that they'll say that, how they're accumulating Bitcoin is budget neutral. Maybe the US will start accepting property taxes in Bitcoin because, well, it's not like they're going out and spending money. It's just revenue that's coming in a different form, right? Like, I realize that some people will argue that that's not budget neutral, but the fact is they're going to accept crypto at some point. They're going to accept Bitcoin, just like Dubai, just like Bhutan, just like El Salvador. There will be some way to accumulate more Bitcoin, and they're actively looking into this. But this is really cool. Obviously, Dubai is a global leader in technology, and this is big. This is cool. So yeah, a lot of big news today. Now, Bitcoin's not like spiking up on this news. We're at an interesting point where Bitcoin is moving up for sure. It's up $28,000 from the recent lows just put in a month and a half ago. But yeah, we're not just in a drunk market where everyone's going 100x leverage. Actually, there's not that much leverage in the market. Like we saw a flush yesterday of 5%. That's it. Earlier, we saw a flush of 4% back at the beginning part of May. Like there aren't massive liquidations or they're just being bought up by treasury companies. And that's one of the benefits of having all these companies that want to buy Bitcoin. When they see a dip, they're coming in and buying the dip. Let me know your thoughts on all this underneath the video. If you do want to trade crypto, I talked about it yesterday. I think now is a good time to be doing that. If you want to get access to leverage, you can use the links underneath the video from BTCC to WEEX to Blowfin to BitUnix to CoinW. I use multiple exchanges because I like trying out the different platforms. I like spreading out my trades a little bit too. But WEEX, BitUnix, and BTCC are fantastic. I really like Blowfin too. I've been using Blowfin for a while. If you want to trade on these, like I said, they're lower trading fees when you use the links underneath the video, and you get like certain bonuses. But yeah, like I said, I would be going low leverage long. I'm not going out and 50xing the market right now. But of course, like if you use a smaller amount or you know what you're doing, maybe you can do that efficiently and safe enough. But I like these low leverage long positions where there's a smaller chance that they're ever going to get liquidated, and I'm pretty much just riding up the market. Like, look at this. I put in $2,500, and I'm up to I'm $20,000 in the green. Like, this is just absolutely nuts, and it allows you to get access to more crypto than you would have otherwise. Now, of course, you have to know what you're doing, right? But let me know your thoughts on all this underneath the video. Let me know your thoughts on all this exciting news. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll see you all in the next.